Hey guys, this is a video to show you how to do your resin if you've gotten one of our to-go projects. So I just want to kind of explain it to you. So whatever kit that you got, you should have some gloves, you should have a popsicle stick, you should have a resin kit, something that says A and B, and then a some kind of mixing cup. And then you're also going to have some, these are basically like table legs. So if you did like the ornaments, you're going to, whatever surface you're making, you're doing your resin on, you're going to prop up whatever you're doing. So if you have a canvas, you're going to do like 4 table legs and make sure it's sitting on the wood frame of the canvas, not the inside part of the canvas where the canvas sticks up. So those are the things that you should have. And so before you do anything with your resin, you're going to put on your gloves. If you've had kids helping you with your project so far, don't have your kids help you with this part. This is the part that you don't want kids to touch, because if resin touches anything, it doesn't feel very good. So make sure the surface that you're working on is somewhere that you can leave this overnight, because that's how long it's going to take to cure when it's hardened. So I use like a bunch of craft paper. I have like several different layers because it does go through a couple layers of paper. So if you're using like newspaper, make sure you have multiple levels of, that's not what I want to say, layers. Make lots of layers of your newspaper. Okay, so we've got our resin here, and this is the cup that we're going to put it into. So go ahead and open your resin. Like I said, it should say A and B on there. A means that's the one that's going to go in first. Now, when I bagged up this resin, some of it might be sticking to the sides of the bag a little bit. Okay, so A means it's going in first. So let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Maybe not. Okay, I'm adjusted a little bit better here so that you can see on my table here. So you got your mixing cup. You're going to do A in your cup first. And you really want to try to get every little bit out of there. So this is a jar that when I made the first kits, this jar is a little bit harder to get everything out of. So you get all of your A into your mixing cup, and then we're going to do B. B is thicker. B is actually the epoxy. So we're going to get all that in there. A is actually the hardener. So the epoxy is much thicker than the hardener, and we want to really try to get as much of it as we can out of there. I started off with these jars, and I got better jars as I ordered my last set. Okay. So just do the best you can, get out as much as you can. It's not all going to come out of there. There's no way that's all coming out of there. Okay, so the thing about the epoxy and the hardener is we want to mix it. And we're going to mix it for like 4 minutes. So I'm making this video so that you can actually do it along with this, so you can see how much you're supposed to be mixing it. Sometimes people talk and they don't mix very well, so just make sure that you're getting it all the way mixed. 4 minutes is going to be a little bit more than we need, but we want to make sure that we get it all the way mixed. If it is not all the way mixed, then it will not set up and it'll be gooey forever, so we don't want that. And you'll notice as you keep stirring it that there are bubbles in there, and that's okay. Now ideally, when you're doing resin, you would have a butane torch. So I have some like cheap disposable ones. I have one that's a little bit more heavy duty that I use, because you are going to have some bubbles when you drizzle this over whatever it is that you're making. You are going to see some bubbles. Some of them do come out on their own, but if you ever watch a video of somebody doing resin, especially those big resin pours, you have to use heat to get rid of those bubbles. And when you mix a little bit of resin like this, where we're mixing, you know, maybe 4 ounces, you tend to get more bubbles. There's just not really any way to not get those bubbles in there. So for your perfect results, you definitely want a butane torch, but it is not absolutely necessary. So we'll go about 2 more minutes. I don't have any fun, super great stories to tell you, except that we did get our first snow today. That is the day that I'm making this. Is a couple days before December. What's today, the 29th? And we did get some snow this morning, and it was windy and cold and icy. Makes me remember why I don't really like winter, but I'm living in the wrong state to not like winter. Although last year we didn't have much of a winter, so I'd do that again. So about 1.5 minutes here. And yes, it's very bubbly. And what you will have noticed is that it has turned from cloudy to clear. And that lets you know that it's ready. We're going to give it a little bit more time here, because you hate to do all of your prep work for your resin and then your resin isn't mixed enough and then it never sets up. So we did a lot of resin classes last year, and I was pretty new to resin, and I have learned a lot as far as how to make it do what it's supposed to do. And a lot of times that's why when you come in, we will resin your project for you, because we make a larger batch of resin, and the larger batches of resin, obviously they have less bubbles than what you're going to see in what you're doing right now. All right. So when you look at your resin now, it should be very clear. It's going to be kind of hard to tell how clear it is because there are quite a few bubbles in there. But so what you're going to do, what you want to do with any of your projects is you want to use your popsicle stick like a spoon, and you don't want to pour your resin over with the cup. You want to drizzle your resin in between and on top of your glass. So that's the first thing that you want to do. If you have any broken glass, you want to, and shattered glass on there, you want to go over that. Make sure you're just drizzling that in all the little crevices. And then you can go to your parts that don't have the glass, because you want to get it all the way covered. So you're going to cover it all the way with this. And then you can use your, I'll show you on one of these plain things here. So you're going to drizzle on here. And if you want to use your popsicle stick, almost like you're spreading frosting, that's good. That works too. So you want to have just enough resin on there and not too much resin, because the more extra resin that you have on there, the more drips that you're going to have on your edge. So you want to try to get it as perfect as possible as far as just enough, not too much. And so, like I said, if you wanted to have this done perfectly, you would then, after it's finished, you would take your butane torch to this and you would get out all of the bubbles. And then you want to do all of your resin part before you take off your gloves, and make sure again that it is somewhere that you can leave it overnight. And that is how we do the resin.